In the quietness of the early morning, when the world is still and your heart can hear the faint whispers of eternity, there is a gentle yet profound invitation. Walk with me. Not ahead of me. It is not a command rooted in control but a call born out of love. It is the Father's voice, steady and unwavering, reminding you that this journey was never meant to be navigated by your own wisdom or your own strength. Every step has always been about relationship. Every path, every valley, every mountain peak has been an opportunity to learn the rhythm of walking with Him. When you run ahead, you carry weights that were never meant for your shoulders. You fight battles that were never yours to fight. You step into territory that grace has not yet prepared for you. But when you walk with Him, every step is covered by His wisdom, His timing, and His providence. You are not just moving through life, you are being led by the author of life Himself. The world will constantly tell you that speed matters, that progress is proof of worth, that if you are not ahead, you are behind. But heaven speaks a different language. Heaven whispers that the safest, strongest, most fruitful place you can ever be is not ahead of God. Not even behind Him, but right in step with His heartbeat. Think about Abraham. God promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. Yet when the promise seemed delayed, he and Sarah ran ahead, trying to fulfill God's word in their own strength through Hagar. That one decision created ripples for generations. It wasn't that God's promise failed, it was that they stepped ahead of His timing. Walking ahead of God will always produce unnecessary weight, while walking with Him will always produce peace. To walk with God is to trust His timing even when it feels like nothing is happening. It is to believe that His silence is not His absence and His delay is not His denial. It is to surrender your need to see the whole map and instead hold the hand of the one who is the way itself. Every step is less about reaching a destination and more about deepening the relationship. There will be seasons where everything in you screams to move faster. Your prayers feel unanswered, your dreams feel delayed, and the temptation to create your own path grows stronger. But in those moments, the gentle voice of the shepherd calls, "My beloved, do not run ahead. Walk with me. His ways are higher, His thoughts are greater, and His timing is perfect beyond comprehension." Israel learned this lesson in the wilderness. They moved only when the pillar of cloud moved. They camped only when the fire stood still. Every attempt to forge ahead on their own ended in loss. But every step they took in sync with His presence led them closer to the promise. The same is true for you. The safest place you can ever be is not in control but in surrender. Walking with Him requires letting go of control. It is the daily discipline of saying, "Lord, not my pace, but yours. Not my plan, but yours." It is learning that slower is not failure and faster is not always better. It is finding the courage to trust that the God who holds time in His hands knows exactly how to shape your story. Picture Jesus placing His hand on your shoulder, His eyes full of compassion as He whispers, "Do not walk ahead of me. You will lose your way. Walk with me. I will take you through valleys, over mountains, into fields of light, one step at a time. Together." This is not merely a lesson in patience, it is an invitation into intimacy. It is the reminder that the hand guiding you is the same hand that was pierced for you. To walk with Him is to know Him, not just His works but His heart. And when you walk with Him, you discover that the journey itself becomes the reward. There will be times when He intentionally slows your steps. Not because He wants to hold you back but because He wants to build something deeper in you. Sometimes what He is doing within you is more important than what He will do through you. If you run ahead, you miss the formation of your own heart. But when you stay in step with Him, you are prepared for the promise as much as the promise is prepared for you. Psalm chapter 23 paints this picture so beautifully. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. Notice it does not say you lead Him. He leads. The imagery is gentle but powerful. It is the shepherd who knows the path, the timing, and the pace. David didn't find green pastures by forging ahead. He found them by following. Maybe you are in a season where everyone around you seems to be moving faster. They are hitting milestones, achieving dreams, while you are still waiting. But do not measure your journey by the pace of others. The only question that matters is, are you walking with Him? If the answer is yes, then you are exactly where you need to be. Walking with God also means learning to pause. The world equates waiting with wasted time, but heaven calls waiting a sacred trust. Jericho's walls could have fallen in an instant, yet God told Israel to march for 7 days. Each lap was less about tearing down stone and more about building up faith. Sometimes your slow steps are not signs of delay but evidence of God's deep work in your heart. In the middle of this journey, I want to pause and gently encourage you. If this message is stirring something in your spirit, if you sense God speaking to you about aligning your steps with His, do not keep it to yourself. Share what God is doing. Leave a comment about how He is teaching you to walk with Him in this season. Like, share, and subscribe so that others can be strengthened in their faith too. Together, we can spread the message of walking in step with His heart. Walking with Him is not about avoiding mistakes but about learning dependence. There will be moments you stumble, moments you surge ahead unintentionally. But His grace is not fragile. His love is not conditional. Every time you drift, His hand is there, gently pulling you back to the rhythm of His steps. Beloved, slow down, walk with me, and each time you return, your ears become more attuned to His voice. There is a profound difference between walking with Him and walking ahead of Him. One brings rest, the other brings striving. One produces peace, the other produces pressure. One is grace, the other is burden. We were never designed to lead. From the garden, we were created to walk in communion. Sin broke that rhythm, but the cross restored it. Jesus didn't just die to get you to heaven, He died to walk with you on earth. To walk with Him is to let His presence become more important than the promise. It is to love the giver more than the gift. Moses understood this when he said, "If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here." He would rather stay in the wilderness with God than enter the promised land without Him. That is the heart of walking with Him. The destination is meaningless without His presence. Each small choice in your day is a step. Beginning the morning with prayer. Pausing in the middle of chaos to listen. Choosing to wait when your flesh wants to run. Walking with God is built not on grand gestures but on thousands of quiet, faithful moments. And in those moments, your life is being aligned with eternity. There will be valleys. There will be seasons of questions. But in every one of them, His whisper remains the same. Walk with me. Not ahead of me. It is not about speed. It is not about control. It is about relationship. It is about trust. It is about learning that the safest place you can ever be is not in the lead but in His shadow. Where His steps become your steps and His heartbeat becomes your guide. And one day, when you look back over the story of your life, you will see the pattern. Not a race run alone but a journey shared. You will see the fingerprints of grace on every step. The gentle corrections, the loving pauses, the divine accelerations. And you will realize the greatest gift was never the destination. It was always Him. Walking with God is not about comfort, it is about transformation. Every step you take with Him is molding you, shaping you into the image of Christ. When you walk ahead, you are not just rushing the process, you are resisting the very hands that are forming you. God's pace is perfect because His purpose is eternal. Think of Peter stepping out onto the water. Jesus didn't tell him to sprint, He simply said, "Come," one step, then another. The miracle was not in how fast Peter moved but in where his eyes were fixed. When his gaze was locked on Jesus, he stayed in rhythm with the divine. When his focus shifted to the storm, he sank. Walking with God is less about movement and more about focus. Keep your eyes on Him, and your steps will align. There is a reason Scripture says, "The steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord." Not the leaps, not the sprints, the steps. God delights in walking with you at a pace where you can hear His voice, feel His presence, and know His heart. Rushing ahead robs you of intimacy. Slowing down to match His stride draws you closer than you've ever been. Sometimes, The most spiritual thing you can do is to wait. To pause long enough to hear his whisper over the noise of your own plans. To hold back when everything in you wants to push forward. Waiting is not wasted time. It is the sacred space where God does his deepest work. Walking with him means you will sometimes be misunderstood. People will question your pace. They will tell you to hurry, to seize the moment, to take control. But you are not called to match the rhythm of culture. You're called to match the rhythm of heaven. And heaven's rhythm is always set by the one who is outside of time yet intimately involved in every second of your life. There is also an unexplainable peace that comes when you surrender your pace to him. Anxiety loses its grip. Fear loses its power. You begin to live in a holy rest, knowing that you cannot miss what God has for you if you are walking with him. Every promise will meet you in his timing. And his timing is never late. Walking with God is a daily choice. It is waking up and saying, Lord, I align my steps with yours today. It is going to bed and whispering, thank you for walking with me. It is in those simple prayers, those quiet moments, that faith becomes real and relationship deepens. And when life throws you into seasons of uncertainty, when you cannot see the road ahead, remember this. You don't need to see the entire path when you are holding the hand of the one who is the path. Your security is not in knowing the future. It is in knowing the one who holds it. So take a breath. Slow your pace. Align your steps. The Father is not rushing you. He is inviting you. The Spirit is not pushing you forward in fear. He is guiding you in love. Jesus is not waiting at the finish line. He is walking beside you right now. Walk with me, not ahead of me. Let that phrase echo in your spirit until it becomes the rhythm of your life. Let it guide every decision, every prayer, every dream, and one day, you will stand before him and realize that the journey itself was heaven breaking into earth. One step at a time. Walking with God is also a journey of trust in the unseen. Faith is not proven when everything makes sense, it is forged when nothing does. When you walk ahead of God, you are leaning on your own understanding. But when you walk with him, you are declaring with every step, your ways are higher, and I trust you even when I cannot trace you. Look at Noah. For decades he built an ark under clear skies. He didn't run ahead of God's instruction. He followed every detail, every measurement, every word. It wasn't about speed, it was about obedience. And because he walked with God, humanity was preserved. Sometimes the pace God calls you to will look foolish to the world. That's because heaven's timing is set to eternal outcomes, not earthly applause. Walking with him also means learning his voice. In John chapter 10, Jesus says, "My sheep hear my voice, and they follow me." Notice again, they follow. They do not lead. They do not run ahead. They move in response to the shepherd. The closer you walk with him, the more familiar his voice becomes, and the easier it is to resist the urge to move without him. There is also a refining that happens in the waiting. Fire doesn't forge gold instantly, it takes time. Pressure doesn't form diamonds in a moment, it is a process. Walking with God is the same. The slowness is not punishment, it is preparation. Every step at his pace is shaping you to carry the weight of his promises without breaking under them. You may be asking, what if I've already gone ahead? What if I've made decisions outside his timing? The beauty of grace is that it doesn't just forgive, it redeems. One step back into alignment is all it takes. The Father does not scold you for running. He rejoices when you return to his side. Walking with God will also teach you that his goal is not just to get you to the destination but to make you like Jesus along the way. The process is not a distraction from the promise, it is the very thing that prepares you for it. If you reach the promise without the process, the promise can destroy you. But if you walk with him, step by step, you are strengthened to steward what he gives. Every great move of God in Scripture began with someone walking with him. Enoch walked with God, and it was said of him that he pleased the Lord. It wasn't his achievements that made heaven speak, it was his alignment. Heaven values relationship over results, presence over progress. So as you listen to this message, Let it become more than words. Let it become the posture of your heart. Slow down where you've been rushing. Step forward where fear has held you back. And in every step, whisper to your soul. Walk with Him. Not ahead, not behind, with Him. The day will come when the pace of heaven and the pace of earth will meet in eternity. And every step you took with Him will echo forever. Until that day, let your life sing the simple yet profound song of trust. Walk with me. Not ahead of me. To walk with God is to embrace the pace of eternity over the urgency of the present. The world will always try to convince you that faster means better. But the kingdom moves to a different rhythm. Heaven values alignment over acceleration, surrender over speed. When you walk ahead, you step into battles unassigned to you. David understood this when he refused to take the throne before God's timing. Even when Saul hunted him, even when the opportunity presented itself to seize the crown, David said, "I will not stretch out my hand against the Lord's anointed." He would rather hide in caves with God's presence than sit on a throne without it. That is the essence of walking with Him. Walking with God is also about learning His pauses. Sometimes He will lead you to stop when everything in you wants to move. These divine pauses are not delays but divine alignments. They are moments when heaven is setting the stage for what's ahead. And if you move too soon, you will arrive to find the stage unprepared. There is a peace that comes when you surrender to His pace. It is not the peace of understanding but the peace of trust. It is the kind of peace that allows you to rest even when the outcome is unknown because you know the one who holds it is good. Imagine if Israel had tried to cross the Red Sea before God parted it. Imagine if Joshua had marched only once around Jericho instead of 7 times as instructed. Imagine if Jesus had rushed to raise Lazarus before the 4th day. In every story, the miracle was tied not just to obedience but to timing. Walking with God is obeying His instructions at His pace. You may be in a season where the path ahead seems uncertain. The temptation is to forge your own way. But hear the gentle whisper. Walk with me. Not with fear, not with anxiety, with me, the one who parted seas, tore down walls, and called the dead to life is walking beside you. Every step at His pace rewrites your story. It pulls you out of striving and into surrender. It transforms your relationship with Him from duty into delight. You begin to see that the greatest blessing is not what He gives you but that He gives Himself to you in every step. So slow down. Align your steps. Feel His presence beside you. Let the world rush if it must. You have found a better way. You have found the ancient path. The one marked not by ambition but by intimacy. And on that path, you will discover that walking with Him is not just the safest place to be. It is the only place where true life is found. Walking with God also means learning to release the illusion of control. Control promises safety, but it delivers anxiety. When you walk ahead, you are trying to control outcomes that belong to God alone. But when you walk with Him, you release control and receive peace. Think of the disciples in the boat during the storm. Jesus was with them, yet they panicked. They tried to manage the storm with their own strength until they realized that the safest place was not in their ability but in His presence. Walking with Him does not mean storms won't come. It means the storm cannot sink you when you are in step with the one who commands the wind and the waves. There is also a beauty in the simplicity of each step. God is not asking you to understand the next 5 years. He is asking you to trust Him for the next 5 minutes. Faith grows not in leaps but in small, consistent steps. Walking with God is about the daily yes, the quiet obedience that no one sees but heaven celebrates. Walking with Him will often feel slower than you want but faster than you expect. That tension is holy. It keeps you dependent. It keeps you leaning into His voice. It keeps you aware that this life is not about achieving but abiding. In Galatians chapter 5, Paul writes about keeping in step with the Spirit. Not running ahead of the Spirit. Not lagging behind. Keeping in step. That phrase carries the picture of a soldier marching in rhythm with the one leading. The power is not in the speed but in the synchronization. Your life becomes powerful not when you do more but when you move in alignment with Him. Walking with God will also teach you patience with yourself. You will stumble, you will misstep, but His grace is not fragile. His hand is steady. He does not let go when you falter, He tightens His grip. Every stumble becomes another opportunity to learn the rhythm of His steps. When you finally reach the end of your journey on this earth, you will not boast about how far ahead you ran. You will weep with gratitude for every step He took with you. And in that moment, you will understand that the command to walk with me, not ahead of me, was never about restriction. It was always about relationship. It was about the Father's desire to never let you face a single day alone. So today, pause and realign. Hear the whisper that cuts through the noise of ambition and fear. Walk with me. Let it become the anchor of your heart. Let it shape the way you live, love, and lead. Because in the end, walking with Him is not just the goal, it is the very definition of eternal life. To walk with God is also to embrace the unknown with confidence. You may not know the destination, but you know the companion. That alone changes everything. Fear loses its grip when you realize that the one walking with you has already gone ahead into every tomorrow and prepared it with His love. Walking with Him will redefine success for you. The world says success is arriving first, achieving more, moving faster. Heaven says success is staying in step with the Father's heart. Success is measured not in miles traveled but in intimacy gained. Every step with Him is victory. No matter how small it looks to the world, there will be seasons when walking with God feels like standing still. Nothing seems to change. Prayers seem unanswered. Dreams seem delayed. But in those seasons, remember this. Roots grow deepest when no one sees. God is anchoring you, building unseen strength that will hold you when the weight of the promise comes. Walking with Him will also expose the idols of speed and control in your heart. It will confront the fear of being left behind. It will challenge the lie that you must make everything happen on your own. And in that confrontation, you will find freedom, because when you finally let go of leading, you discover the joy of being led. Jesus modeled this perfectly, even as the Son of God. He said, "I do nothing on my own but only what I see the Father doing." If the Son did not walk ahead of the Father, how much more should we align our steps? His life was a constant rhythm of walking in sync with heaven, and that rhythm is the one He invites you into. Walking with God is also the cure for burnout. Striving drains you. Alignment sustains you. When you move at His pace, you find a supernatural rest even in seasons of hard work. His yoke is easy, and His burden is light, not because the path is free of challenge but because you are not carrying it alone. So wherever you are today, whether at a crossroads, in a valley, on a mountaintop, hear His invitation again. It has not changed. It never will. Walk with me, not ahead of me, one step at a time, one heartbeat at a time. And in that holy rhythm, you will find the life you were always meant to live. Walking with God is not a sprint but a lifelong pilgrimage. Every day is another step in the journey of becoming more like Jesus. The destination is not a place, it is a person. And that person is walking beside you even now. Think of the Emmaus Road. 2 disciples, broken and confused, walking away from what they thought was the end of their hope. Jesus drew near and walked with them. He did not demand they run. He matched their pace, listened to their pain, and revealed Himself in the breaking of bread. That story reminds us that walking with Him is not about performance but presence. He will walk with you even when you are limping, even when you are doubting, even when you do not recognize Him. Walking ahead of God often comes from fear, fear of missing out, fear of delay, fear of failure. But love drives out fear. When you walk with Him, you are walking with perfect love. And perfect love casts out fear. The pace of love is patient. The rhythm of love is steady. The steps of love are sure. There is also a joy in walking with Him that cannot be found anywhere else. It is the joy of knowing you are not alone. The joy of realizing that every step is guided by hands that formed the universe yet hold your heart with tenderness. The joy of discovering that the one who walks with you is not just leading you to promises but is Himself the greatest promise of all. Walking with God also means you begin to see delays as divine appointments. What feels like a pause is often God setting up something greater than you imagined. His timing is never random, it is precise, crafted with eternal wisdom, and when the moment comes, you will see that every slow step was leading you into something far beyond what rushing could ever produce. So let this be your prayer: Lord, teach me to match your pace. Teach me to love your timing. Teach me to trust your pauses as much as your movement. That prayer will reshape your life. It will free you from the tyranny of hurry and anchor you in the rest of His presence. At the end of all things, when you stand before Him, the question will not be how fast you ran but whether you walked with Him. And in that moment, every surrendered step, every act of trust, every pause in obedience will shine with eternal glory. Because walking with Him was never just about this life, it was about preparing you for forever in His presence. Walking with God also reshapes how you see setbacks. What feels like a detour is often a divine rerouting. When you walk ahead, you may miss the gentle redirection of His Spirit. But when you walk with Him, even closed doors become sacred signs pointing you to His perfect path. Walking with Him requires humility. It is admitting that His wisdom is greater than yours, His timing better than your plans. It is choosing surrender over striving, dependence over independence. That humility is not weakness, it is strength. It positions you to receive guidance that only comes to those willing to be led. There is also a holy rhythm to walking with God that begins to spill into every part of your life. Your relationships are shaped by patience instead of pressure. Your work is marked by grace instead of grind. Your dreams are built on trust instead of fear. When you match His pace, everything else finds its proper place. Consider Jesus' words, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Notice He did not say, "Run ahead of me." Rest is only found when you are walking with Him. The moment you run ahead, you trade rest for restlessness. But when you align your steps, you discover the unforced rhythms of grace. Walking with God also teaches you to celebrate small victories. Every step of obedience is a miracle. Every pause of surrender is worship. Every moment you choose His pace over your own is a declaration of faith. Heaven rejoices not just in where you arrive but in every step you take with Him along the way. So wherever you are right now, take this moment to realign. Breathe deep. Hear His whisper cutting through the noise. Walk with me, not ahead of me. Let it become the melody of your soul, the anthem of your days, the anchor of your decisions. And as you walk, you will find that the journey with Him is not just leading you somewhere, it is making you someone. Someone who looks like Jesus. Someone who carries His peace. Someone who walks in step with heaven itself. Walking with God is the lifelong art of surrender. Every step says, "Not my will, but yours." Every pause says, "Not my timing, but yours." Every breath says, "Not my way, but yours." And in that surrender, you find the deepest freedom you will ever know. When you walk ahead, you live in the pressure of performance. When you walk with Him, you live in the power of presence. The difference is night and day. One drains you, the other fills you. One leaves you empty, the other leaves you whole. The invitation to walk with me, not ahead of me, is more than guidance, it is gospel. It is the heart of salvation. God with us. God in us. God leading us. It is the restoration of Eden. The return to the garden where humanity walked with God in the cool of the day. Jesus came to bring us back to that walk. And every step with Him now is a foretaste of eternity. There will be days you feel strong and days you feel weak. Days you run in faith and days you barely shuffle forward. But the miracle is this: He matches His pace to yours. He will not abandon you when you stumble. He will not shame you when you lag. He will not scold you when you surge ahead. He will simply reach for your hand and whisper again, "Walk with me." So let this message sink deep into your spirit. Let it shape the way you live from this moment on. You do not have to lead. You do not have to see the whole path. You do not have to strive. You are invited to walk. Just walk. With Him. Not ahead. Not behind. With Him. And one day, when all the steps of this life are done and you cross into eternity, you will hear the most beautiful words your soul has ever longed for. Well done, my child. You walked with me. Walking with God also means living with eternal perspective. Every step you take with Him is not just about this moment but about forever. Each decision to align with His pace echoes into eternity. When you walk ahead, you are living for the temporary. When you walk with Him, you are investing in the eternal. This journey is not about perfection, it is about presence. It is not about reaching the end the fastest, it is about never walking alone. It is about knowing that the Creator of the universe chose to match His stride with yours because relationship has always been His highest desire. Walking with God will teach you that every delay has purpose. Every pause has meaning. Every slow step is filled with grace. You will begin to see that the pace of heaven is not meant to frustrate you but to free you. Free you from fear. Free you from striving. Free you from the lie that your worth is in how fast you move. So let this be the cry of your heart: Lord, teach me to walk with you. Not ahead, not behind, with you. Let it become more than words. Let it become the rhythm of your days, the anchor of your soul, the song of your life. And when the story is finished and your journey is complete, may it be said of you what was said of Enoch: he walked with God. There is no higher calling. There is no greater honor. There is no richer reward.